this is the other thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And this is more of a concept. It's not a real product. It's just something that is really going to solve some of the big problems we have. But the concept is basically finding ways to make data centers pay for rooftop solar and storage,
Right.
so they can actually get the power they need.
Yep.
And it's a zero-sum game. Electricity costs are a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
If the rates are high, the utilities win. The utilities don't want low rates. They want to make the profits. They want to build as much infrastructure as possible. And there's a tug of war. Now we've got a third party, which is pretty brutal, which is the data centers. And they're saying, we want a lot of power. Utilities say, we'll give it to you. And the ratepayers are like, well, we're just going to get screwed. So I had a way of getting around this. But just this slide shows basically how power goes from long distance transmission to homes, businesses, and data centers. Very rough. We all know about this.
Yes.
But the utilities do this very slowly. It's
Yes.
very expensive. And now the data centers are saying, hell, we just don't want to pay for all this.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to get our data centers in. So the nice thing about our industry, the rooftop solar industry, is they've done a good job of providing that power. This is a graph that shows what the trend line was for demand of on the grid
In California.
and then what actually happened.
Yeah.
And what actually happened
That's fascinating.
15 gigawatts. We somehow found 15 gigawatts of extra solar,
That's amazing.
extra power, and that came from rooftop solar.
Fantastic.
So it shows that
Entirely rooftop solar.
that's my understanding. So entirely rooftop solar, and the demand kind of spiked up and down. So basically, what happened is that extra capacity was filled in, not big power plants, but just came filled in.
Yeah,
so let's
through
do
DG. Yep.
through DG. So let's kind of look at an example of this. So let's pretend this jar over here is the capacity of the grid, and hold that for me because I'm going to hold it. I'm going to fill this up with.
I'm going to hold the jar. I'm not going to hold you.
And these walnuts are power plants. And now the grid is full. This is all we can fit.
Power
no
plants.
more power.
Yep. Now we can't generate any more electricity.
Yeah, and what are you going to do? Can't cram more in. Well, there is a way. The way is if you have lots of little power plants that literally cost peanuts. Here, shake that up a little bit for me.
There we go. Get it in there. Get it in there. Glad I had lunch. You'd be making me hungry.
All right.
Oh, look.
We lost a few.
Just like real life, a few power plants didn't make it.
All right. We've doubled the capacity of the grid.
That's magical.
Just with peanuts, with
Shaken,
small power
stirred.
plants. So now let's take that same concept with real power plants, nuts, and rooftop solar and storage.
Right.
And let's use that. And so the concept here is to have the data centers pay for the peanuts.
Yes.
The peanuts payments go directly to the homes and businesses that want solar. And that's going to provide all that extra power they want. You got to remember, the data centers are just like, who do I write a check to get this to happen?
Yeah.
And if they're able to write checks through the utility billing system, probably with CCAs, this thing can happen. So that's the concept. I'm not going to go through all the other details. It's set up so that the residential customers get a fast payback, less than 5 years.
Right.
Commercial customers, even faster.
3.8.
Positive cash flow because they're getting money from the data centers, and plus they save.
Explain to me how the money transaction works, though.
That's the tricky thing.
Yeah.
That's why this hasn't happened. So the way this transaction is going to work is the data centers will pay behind the meter feed-in tariff.
Okay.
And they're going to pay that to the homes and businesses.
Okay. And what is the incentive to the data center to pay the behind the meter feed-in tariff?
The incentive is there's three. There's actually three incentives. First, they're able to get that power and capacity for $1
because they're
a watt.
buying it.
Yeah,
Okay.
they get it for $1 a watt instead of if they were to go through standard power plant process, it's $5 a watt. They get it in 2 years. 2 years because these nuts go in fast.
Yeah, but it has to be a controllable load.
Yes.
Okay, so VPP.
Yep. It would be dispatchable power from the battery.
Yes. This will work in Texas.
Yep. And then the third thing is they solve the affordability crisis. So there's pushback, NIMBY issues with data centers all over the country,
right?
Because they just don't want the power to go up and then the cost to go up. This reduces customer costs.
I like this idea. Have you socialized it in any of the circles and powers that be?
Yeah.
Ah.
And we're looking at doing this with a CCA initially. They're interested. We're starting. We're next step is to talk to the data centers.
Fascinating.
Probably do this in Silicon Valley because there's a few companies there.
I feel
that
like I
want
need
it.
to call Nick Chazet up and see what he would think of this
Call
idea.
Nick. Call Nick. Yeah. This is an octopus opportunity.
Oh yeah, it would be. Absolutely. This is something that, I mean, it's a lot of companies' opportunity, but yeah, Octopus. Not only that, but obviously he understands the business model of the CCA.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay. I'm so glad that you explained this because when you sent me this deck, I was clueless. I was trying to wrap my head around what does this mean?
And let's just go to the last slide
All
just
right.
to kind of cap it off. The data centers will like this because it gets them fast power, cheap power, and they don't have the pushback because of affordability.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a win for the data centers. It's a win for ratepayers. And we're going to get some pushback from that other party at the table, the utilities. But we'll have to deal with that.
Inevitable.
Yep.
Yeah, we have to win the PUC though.
But we're going PUC. We might need legislation. We're working with CalSA on this, so we'll see where it goes.